no way to know that?
I don't. I have a way to know that. I haven't
Okay.
had the time
Yeah.
to get, so my plan is to coordinate all of this through our GIS system, which can attach labels to parcels and allow us to actually have a visual representation of an area and how many people are scheduled for an inspection, what their time frames are, and kind of perform analysis in that manner. Right now, our plan is to work on that through the rest of this year, and in the first quarter of 2026, begin a program where we can approach the homes that are in the sites for lateral lining.
Right.
The programs are developed and target those areas, offer special inspection dates to bring them.
Bump them forward a little bit.
to the line,
Mm-hmm.
which in turn, for those who are already signed up, would open those slots
Right.
through and hopefully condense this whole process somewhat. Currently, we don't do inspections in the afternoon. Those times are being reserved for this program. And so we think we can almost actually double the number of inspections that we can do, at least for the short term, as long as staff can handle the pace.
We will need to coordinate when we start doing these alleyways. The garbage pickup is going to be
Absolutely.
it's going to be an
We're
issue.
fairly well versed in that. Any roadway project that we do
Yeah.
has always involved interference with trash collection, and while there are bumps along the way, as always, we have a pretty good system by which to get the contractors in Republic to work together to make sure that trash is collected as best we can.
So to maybe kind of organize this a little bit, does council have any other questions of our staff that maybe it would answer some questions that people are here that are thinking, and that maybe we can just get them an answer if you've got anything in mind? Yeah, John?
I don't know if it's a question other people have. We kind of talked about it on Monday, and I know, Matt, you've talked to some of us about it. You talked about wanting to have some type of review board so that if there is some type of dispute, whether they qualify for this or that of the program. I just wanted clarity from you, what you saw that board looking at and what maybe how you would like to see it made up.
I feel like if we had a three-member panel that as, eventually there are going to be disputes between what I feel that the program entitles someone to and what the people entitle someone to. And I don't feel that I should be the end-all, say-all to this. When those situations occur, I feel that I should have the ability to let the committee chair know that I have a certain number of disputes, have them call a meeting, present the case as I see it, allow the people, if they should choose, to present their argument before the board, and for the board to render then a final decision on how that should proceed.
There's going to be some instances that I don't think every home is fixable. I think there is going to be situations that it's going to be tough for somebody to, or get anybody, a contractor, anybody to do what the inspection is suspecting of the house, although it may not be confirmed. We think it's doing this, or we think the footers are tied into the sanitary. How is somebody supposed to fix their footer tiles below the foundation of their house that's going into the sanitary? I would say that maybe that appeal board would be something that might be good for that, when somebody is absolutely at a stop, and the contractor's like, that, I can't fix that, I don't know what to do for you to fix your issue. I think a lot of them are cut and dry. It's a sub pump that needs to go in here, reroute the water, blah, blah, blah. But I do believe there's going to be some that is going to be possibly not fixable. So what do we do in that situation? Maybe that appeals board is a way to say, hey, look, this is what I got. this is what they're telling me, I don't have a contractor that says they can fix what you're asking me to fix. So maybe that would help with a situation like that and give them a waiver based on circumstance or whatever it is. But I just think we might want to be prepared for that because that may happen. And maybe this is the answer to it, I don't know.
Well, so that makes me kind of wonder, even before you said something to Jim, with the appeals board and thinking more about that, because I don't think it should fall on one person's shoulders. I mean, to have some sort of, a few people that someone else can go like a next step go to for like a second opinion, I guess of sorts, it would be helpful. But I also kind of wonder, whether it should expand a little bit because we're going to have a lot of weird situations, I feel like, come up and we're going to need to make decisions. Does that board also become kind of like a sounding board for the community like our other committees are? And they can help kind of make some decisions on some other things instead of doing, it could be like in place of like a committee of the whole like this, like we have a committee meeting that, they give a little bit more input to as well, and then it goes in front of council. I don't know. I wonder if they're we're already going to have some sort of appeals board, and this is going to be a pretty extensive project for the foreseeable future, and things like this are going to come up, like whether, it should open up for them to be able to give a little bit more input as well. I don't know. I think it's something we should consider.
Yeah, I agree.
That can just be implemented internally with staff, right? I don't believe we need an ordinance for that. We can just, Alan, I don't believe any formal action to make an appeals process, or do you want to make that part of the ordinance that is going to possibly extend the fixed date?
Well, for like the environmental commission, we had to do an ordinance to create one.
That's
Will we
fine.
need to do one to
it's-
create?
Probably.
Create the
Okay.
parameters, their powers, their duties,
Okay.
that sort of thing. Because there's some other things, like we've talked before about, when people have a Y to their lateral, who's going to be responsible for that? Those are all things that will end up needing to be addressed, or maybe the contractor disagrees. You have two different quotes that are wildly different. That's going to make a ruling on it. And if one of them complains, then you can say, see, here's what it is, here's what it should be.
Yeah.
But my question on that is, would that be a staff? Would it be a council? Would it be citizens?
Well, I'm thinking Matt maybe should be part of that three-person. Does that work? Does that make sense or no?
He's the
No.
first.
I would present on the city's behalf my point of view, so I would not
Okay.
want to have a vote on
Well,
that.
I meant for people to be knowledgeable enough on this committee to
I
understand.
think the one that's going to understand the most is if somebody that works in a sewer department that's
Okay.
maybe actually done the inspection and maybe remembers the house or understands the systems, that one of
That's
the
a good
people
point.
anyway.
Nope, that's good.
That would have the technical knowledge to understand what's being asked and why the situation could be special. I don't know.
I would actually recommend that none of the people be staff.
Okay,
We can bring in
Technical.
technical
to answer questions.
to answer
Yeah.
questions or
Okay,
to make comments on what they saw during an inspection. That's fine.
Yep.
But I think that the board should be independent.
okay,
Council President.
appreciate that.
So will
I
we,
have one more, I'm sorry. There are a limited number of rules for how this program is to be administered. It's a huge amount of money that everyone's paying into. I think the board should have the power to interpret to some degree what those rules actually mean. What is a special circumstance? What is covered? What isn't covered? And then as we go, I can use those responses that board has made to make better, cleaner decisions based on previous experience with the board.
like precedents essentially? Yeah.
Councilman Lineback?
I was going to say, I think one of the most important things is these guidelines that we're using. Actually, I had two items, but one just as a preface was that it's really important that our public views whatever these guidelines are that we adopt as, yes, that's good. I'm ready to sign up for that. Sometimes, trust building. So the idea of extending, I think people here would say, yes, that needs to happen. The specific circumstances that apply to, individual homes that come up, I was going to ask, and then maybe finish my comment, is the 80-20 rule here at play with these limited rules that we have in place today about what the city would pay for because of what we expect the remediation to require? Is that like 80% probably of the situations, and 20% are going to be these really complex things, or is it more like
I think-
50-50?
No, I think it's south of 20% myself. I think most of everything that I've seen, I haven't really honestly, I have not yet run into something that was so complicated that I was at a loss. But I anticipate that I will, and there's nowhere to go. And that's my concern.
And when you said it was south of 20%, you mean it's fewer than 20% will be really complex? So this hearing board probably wouldn't have to deal with a whole heck of a lot.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So whether it's 3 council members and technical assistance from staff, to be able to start then establishing some common law principles as we encounter, what seems to be a reasonable interpretation of this guideline, what's going to be viewed as fair and reasonable by our citizens.
Well, is it going to be council members or is it going to be residents? I guess that's not something
Yeah.
I was clear about.
I think you want it to be like design review, like
Or like
Yeah,
zoning
residents.
appeals,
Okay.
all those. It's residents. That way, you're not appealing a decision the city has made to city people.
Yeah.
Chelsea, you
Where's
had
the-
something?
Well, I had another question. I would imagine that you're right, and that most things are going to be pretty common scenarios. What I am wondering, do you envision this type of board also handling some of the financial or extension disputes?
The board could handle whatever council.
Whatever we decide.
assigns to them, But I would caution that, the timelines,
Mhm.
the financial.
Yeah, the rules are the
Those are
rules.
Pretty clearly established
Mhm.
in the guidelines.
Pretty narrow.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of, I would just foresee something saying, well, this is my special circumstance. Why can't I have, this is a special circumstance to me, give me an extension. I could see that coming up.
So I've had one
Mhm.
so far. That
I don't know if it's working.
I am trying.
Can you pull towards them?
I have had one special circumstance
I think
that
it's
came
working.
before me, and there was a situation in their life. Is that one better?
Yeah, that's,
Give him
That
2
much better?
microphones, that ought to
That
do
one
it.
works.
It's like
Two
a
for
hearing.
one?
that one doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay. Is that better?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what are we
All right.
listening for?
I have had one special circumstance come forward. It really, to me, wasn't a question that the 6-month extension that I'm allowed per the guideline was easy to allow in that case. That's the only one that's ever asked for it.
Well, it might very well be a case that you think it's very easy and you say no, but someone disagrees, so they want to appeal it, right? I mean, so then it's going to go to the board and they're just going to say yay or nay.
Exactly.
And that's the second opinion, and it might not be complicated at all. They just need a second person saying it,
Or like they had a contractor scheduled in the last month of their commitment letter, their 1 year, but the contractor can't get out till next month. I imagine that would be a simple one, but these are the questions that people, I feel like, are going to have.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing 2 things so far, and that is a blanket extension for inside the house and a sewer remediation appeals board of some sort.
Well, and maybe we say this all to the end, but want to do a motion to get a ordinance for the board, yeah.
Anything else?
Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Kirk.
Alan, is there an enforcement mechanism in place? We get up the road, and the Barrow family, for example, refuses to allow inspections.
That's right.
I'm going to pick on you, Gabe. But
Well, are you,
a
Ted? Because you're going to be in
homeowner-
the Uptown area. What if you refuse to get your, that's the first one to be required, right? That's why
Well,
I bring that up,
Yeah, I don't
right?
live in the red zone.
Our enforcement mechanism is, we've made any property with a defective lateral and that's discharging into our sanitary sewer nuisance property, or that portion of the property is a nuisance. So we'd have to take the nuisance route to correct it
Okay.
if they're not going to do it voluntarily.
Excuse me, and this board that we've been talking about is separate and distinct from any enforcement authority.
Right, they wouldn't have
Yeah.
that authority. There's a separate nuisance appeal board.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman
A question for Matt, and maybe both Matts, but Matt Miles, it's kind of a capacity issue. So if somebody they get their house inspected, it takes a couple months, it seems like, to get the response back, the inspection report? Or is that old news?
Yeah, that was early on.
Okay,
It's,
so how quickly are they getting it?
I would say the majority of them are back within 7 days.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. Okay, so they would have something to be able to show to a contractor within a week, a week after their inspection, to say, this is what I need done.
Correct.
Get my quotes, and so the idea of a year from that time, that seems reasonable to me. And so what we've been talking about with this extension is for the people who had their inspections prior to some specific date?
right.
The,
The early-
prior to the signing of the consent decree.
Okay. And we're suggesting how long?
6 months.
6
That's
months?
October 6th. Beginning October 6th.
Okay.
From the time that they received their inspection report.
Right. So
No,
instead of
they-
1 year.
They could very well get an inspection and not get a report for 2 or 3 months. That's when the clock starts, the extension, from when they get the report.
And that may have been early on, like Matt was saying, because some of the people I've talked to, it took them 2 and 3 months.
Yes,
And then of course, they were waiting for the consent decree.
right.
So my understanding of the extension is that it extends to a finite end date for extensions, no matter where during that year process that you had your inspection completed, you now have until, what would that be, March 6th, to get the work completed for everyone, not 6 months from the year of your inspection. That would offset it so much that we wouldn't be able to manage that timetable and understand who was due when.
But this was my capacity question. So of all the plumbing contractors out there who do this kind of work, is there enough out there to get all these done
Right.
in that time frame?
Right now, I believe that the list of registered contractors with the city number is approximately 75. That seems like a lot. I won't know until we get further in and until the pace picks up. Right now, the pace is relatively slow.
Yeah.
And so, right now, there doesn't seem to be a particular issue with it. And once some of the contractors understand that the ball's rolling better now, some of them gave out quotes quite some time ago. People have waited for the conveyance to get, conveyance, I keep saying that word, for the commitment or the consent decree to get signed. And so they have very, very old estimates. Some of the contractors don't seem to have any problem with that. Some of the other ones do seem to have a problem with that. We're working through that. But once everything is caught up and rolling along, then we shouldn't have the kind of delays that we've seen early on in the project.
And the hearing board could possibly, if that turned out to be a factor, that things were not moving as fast, because even of these 75 contractors, you have to say, well, how many are just doing routine plumbing work? So how much capacity is available to do remediation? If the hearing board is tracking some of this stuff and finds that that's a big issue, that maybe 1 year from the receipt of your inspection, if it's like, I got my quotes, I submitted them, and, they just can't get to me, here's the piece of paper, the hearing board could consider that as an extension, is that right?
Yep, special circumstances.
They can essentially consider anything that Matt says no to. right? I mean,
Chelsea?
Just a quick question. I don't do much with plumbing or contracting or sewers, believe it or not. I know it's crazy. Knowing that we're going into November, December, January, February, which are all winter months that can make it tough to do any sort of digging, excavating, concrete pouring, are we worried that 6-month extension is basically going to be moot anyway because people won't be able to get some of that work done?
No, typically, so the work that we're talking about primarily is all internal to the home.
Sub pump type stuff.
Correct.
I had the footers in my head after you talked about it.
Right, so that work should be able to continue, and frankly, in this area, we typically can work about 10 to 11 months a year,
Okay.
even outdoors, so
I don't do
I
that.
really don't see that as an issue. If we get the blizzard of 26 this year, then maybe that's a
circumstances.
special.
that's a special circumstance.
But barring something like that, I don't see that as a particular issue.
Yeah, I don't either.
If that's, yeah, I don't know as much, but I do know that there was some concern from lay people like me.
Do we have any kind of an idea of how many people we've reimbursed up to this point? I know I'm kind of giving you a curveball, but
Yeah, that one I don't. I would say 20 or 30
Jennifer knows.
that have gone completely.
She's indicating she knows.
So we have about 4 pending right now that'll go out Thursday, but about $150,000 worth, and I think 30 is optimistic. I think we'll settle in the middle, 25. Yeah.
what about, this is kind of a radical thing, but I don't know how this would affect the program in the long term, but, I mean, I'm sure we have people that had inspections a year ago, they kind of started about a year ago is when they kind of really fired up. And waiting to see if it was going to get covered or get the consent decree signed.
Right.
Waiting to see if they were going to get money. Should the clock reset from that date? From the consent decree date? I'm just asking that, how does that affect the program as a whole? Is it blow it up?
I think a
I mean,
year is,
to be honest.
a year is probably honestly, it's too much. We have to deal with the uptown area first.
Right.
According to the order, because the tanks that are due for the uptown area are first on the list. So if we work our way backwards from 2030,
Okay.
in 2029, I have to be doing design work. In 2028, I have to start monitoring the system so that we can size the tank appropriately for what the water.
I'm talking about in the house, in the in-house
So
work.
am I.
Oh, okay, all right,
So-
okay, yeah.
So that really only leaves 2025 and 2026 to get the majority of the internal work done to lower that volume of water.
Gotcha.
So that when we're monitoring it in 2028, that we have a realistic number to work with.
Okay, makes sense.
Hey, Matt, I have a question for you, since we're doing the uptown, the red zone, the hot zone. Is that, if most people signed up, are there a lot of people signed up, or are there a lot that haven't signed up, that need to get signed up yet?
Well, again, that was, the mayor asked earlier, I don't have that map prepared
Oh,
yet.
oh, that's what you
That's going to
didn't look
take
at.
me some time. There's a lot of programming involved to make the maps do.
That's really
something like
important.
that, and it's going to take a minute.
Well, and so we started talking about getting communications out to the residents in those areas to let them know this is going to happen. We're going to be inspecting your laterals and lining them in the uptown. So essentially, the first area we start with, I mean, maybe they have more time to do their internal work or sign up, but I mean, their laterals are going to get lined.
Correct.
Right. So it's about kind of notifying them, hey, we're going to be in your area. We'll be getting lined on these dates or, you know, something.
Yeah, that's, the external work or the lateral work it's a lot easier because we'll select areas that we're going to work in. We'll sell the contract. The contractors will come in, do all the measuring, build the liners, bring them in, install them, and it's one house after another. And we're outside of the need to enter the home and work with people while they're at home, and it's a much more straightforward program than the internal corrections are.
But so with talking about that, because this is something that there was a misunderstanding from my point, to be honest, until just of late. According to what I'm hearing with due to financial reasons, I mean, the city's paying to line the lateral. So if you have a belly that needs fixed, the residents needs to fix that with their dime.
Correct. So this isn't to correct faulty plumbing, the project.
I'm not sure I didn't quite understand what you're asking.
I do.
Okay, all right, if you could repeat that.
I
then.
will.
Yeah.
If a household has, over the years, they know that they've had frequent problems with their sanitary flow because of a belly in the line
Okay.
or
Crushed or whatever.
crushed is a little bit different because we have to get the liner down it.
That's true.
But a belly in a line is just a dip, and and things can settle out in there and fill the line. The project's about separation and sealing the lines. So I can line through a belly, and it'll still exist. And if that continues to cause you problems because of settling out, it's a plumbing issue, and it's the resident's responsibility. It's their lateral. If, on the other hand, you have, frequent tree root intrusion, or the problem that causes your line to back up happens to be that a hole has gotten broken and the clay has failed in a particular area, that part, the liner will fix that, and you won't continue to have that issue. It will block out the roots from intruding. It can go over small missing pieces of pipe. We will do point repairs on larger pieces because we still need to do the line. But as far as elbows or dips or
What about cesspools?
cesspools are actually called out specifically in the plan. We are removing those
Okay.
as part of the program.
So the city paying for removal of cesspools?
More than that, the city crews are doing many of them on our own time, well, not our own time, on the city's
On
time.
our own.
We're doing
On the weekends, at night?
Yeah, no. The city, but they have a really long list right now, so if people are having problems that is causing backups in their system and that cesspool is involved, we are recommending that they have a contractor deal with the issue. It is a reimbursable expense,
Okay.
and we will help them take care of that.
Councilman Limbach?
No, Mayor,
I'm
Mayor,
sorry,
go
Mayor.
ahead, Mayor.
Could you briefly just kind of explain the two avenues of financial, the two financial avenues?
Sure.
There's one, go ahead.
So the typical avenue would be that a person has their inspection, they contact at least 2 contractors, they submit that documentation,
Estimates.
estimates. We approve the lowest bid for work to be done that's appropriate to the project, and they receive an email from us that states exactly what that dollar amount is and tells them to go ahead and hire their contractor. When their work's completed, then they turn in a copy of the final invoice for the project, along with proof of payment of some type, a canceled check or a credit card statement. That is processed through our office and through finance department, and either a check is mailed to them or there's an option to have it directly deposited into their account.
So direct payment to the resident.
Correct. On the other hand, we understand that there's a certain portion of the population that can't afford to put that money up front to do that. We sat down and discussed guidelines by which that might be handled, and the current, there's an additional form if people would like to apply for assistance in that way. They have to submit financial information as to their debt and their monthly expenses, much like getting a loan from anyone else. We have set the debt-to-income ratio at 43% or above that would qualify for direct payment to the contractor. At that point, I would basically take over the project, contact the contractor. We would enter into an agreement with that contractor to perform the work at the person's residence, and we would directly pay the contractor for the work.
1 minute. We'll open it up for a second.
Just so that everybody knows, there's a stack of forms that Matt brought. These have all the forms. I don't know if you can see it. It just says Maumee. It's pretty much all white. In that is that form for both of the financial different programs that they have. I had one question, Matt, and I'm sure it's covered here, but to vocalize it, after the houses are done and they're inspected and they're good, does the resident then get a certificate, something that says you're completed, or how is that recorded?
So the homeowner does not get a certificate. We did toss around that idea. One of the concerns is that there can be things that still exist. We all, I think, at this point understand that we don't necessarily see the entire system. We do the best we can. We put the cameras in at available openings, but it's a non-invasive investigation. After some time of the program, we will have the capability of cameraing the system during rain events. The system will be much lower flows, and the camera will be able to survive getting through the sewer during a rain event. And if we see high flow from a certain spot, we need the ability to go back to the house and help to investigate exactly where all of this water is coming from. If we've issued a certificate that they've complied with everything, then we really don't have a leg to stand on at that point.
Okay, well, I was asking, more for, I'm selling my home, and you know, we're a hot spot because we're just advertising, and every house in the country, every city in the country has the same problem we're having.
Mm-hmm.
But I got my house inspected, I did it, and if a realtor comes to my house or a buyer, I would say, well, I had it inspected, and they did the work. I mean, to be able to sell the house, you know, whether it's a personal house or if it's income property. Will they be able to go online, or is there something that we can show that potential buyer that, yep, we did what we had to do?
So that actually came up this past week with a house sale, and it was kind of the final determining factor for this buyer. And I simply issued a letter to the current homeowner stating that I had searched the record, I had found that they had completed their inspection, that we had reimbursed for the work that had been located at the time, and reminded them that the new owner would also have to complete a letter of commitment due to the fact that we'll still have to line the lateral, and that part of that commitment form gives us permission to be on the property.
Right.
And I gave it back to the homeowner, and as far as I know, everything went smoothly thereafter.
So that's a good point. The commitment letter is not only a commitment that you realize there's a fix needed inside your house, but it also allows the city to run that, to fix that lateral up to your front door.
Absolutely, that's
Basically.
a good point. I do get the question fairly frequently. My report says that I don't have any internal work to do. There's nothing further that's required of me.
Right.
Why do I have to do a commitment form? That's the reason.
That's why. Yeah. Let me ask you
Allowed
two
for
questions
that.
about permitting. Does the homeowner have to get the permit, or do they hire a contractor? Is it pretty much, does the homeowner rely on the contractor to get the permit?
So for those that are utilizing a contractor's required to be the one who pulls
Okay.
the permit. If
Right.
the homeowner's doing the work themselves, then it would be, the
Correct.
onus would be on the homeowner.
And our city crews are actually doing post inspections of what the finished product? How we handling that?
We do a two-part inspection, at least. It gets complicated on all of your inside work is actually considered plumbing, so the plumbing inspectors handle that inspection.
Okay, I think you answered the question then. Yeah.
So it's a two-part, rough-in and a final inspection of any internal work.
Well, the permit's going to trigger that, right?
Correct.
Permit on file, you have an open permit, we got to close it, inspection is required.
Correct.
And that proves that you've done the work.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback on that? I have a couple of questions. We have plumbers that are registered with the city, and then are there licensed plumbers that are not registered with the city? Are they okay to use? I guess I don't really quite understand that. Sorry, I'm
No,
losing my voice
absolutely.
apparently.
So any Ohio licensed plumber can, for a nominal fee, become registered to legally work it within the city. It's a simple form, I think it's $75. They have to show their workers' comp, they have to show their liability insurance, and they have to show their Ohio licensure, and the permit is issued.
They all know that.
Yeah, and
Right,
Yeah.
that's
that's
common
not a new
practice.
Yep.
No.
thing, right?
Not at all.
No.
No. It's making sure you're protecting the residents.
Oh, yeah.
You also have to make sure that with any contractor on your property, that if you're just hiring Joe Blow and they get hurt or something happens, you could be liable for that if they're not covered and licensed and and all the rest of it. So that is to also protect the homeowner. That happens to anybody if you just call somebody in to try and take care of something.
Marco?
Yes, thank you. Did you have one more?
No, we have some people that want to
Oh,
talk.
okay.
Yeah, we just-
That's fine.
Yeah,
I can
go-
wait.
Okay. Do we have a couple questions right up front here, ma'am? Yes, yes.
I'm going to come right to the point. I'm concerned, first of all, because we were told at the beginning, can't fix anything. Now you are saying, sir, that only certain people will be allowed to be paid on the city, like,
It's just it's a different avenue. It's a different avenue of how you get that.
but then let me ask you this, does this mean I'm going to have to go to the bank and get a loan and pay my contract before I can turn in my completed work? And then, how long will it take before you get back?
If you don't qualify.
Those fees that are, incurred, i.e.
Interest.
Cost of the loan, how do you plan to handle those items?
I'm not quite sure which avenue she's talking about, whether it's direct payment to the resident, or direct payment to the contractor.
It sounds like you've narrowed it to where not a bunch of, at the beginning, we thought, good, they'll pay the people directly, I can live with that. We jumped in right at the beginning. Now, we, trying to set an example and encourage others to do so, now we're in trouble because we have the list from the city, and my list doesn't have them. And honestly, I don't know who's better than others. Maybe that's something I can find out by the home. My fear is I'm going to have to get a loan and I won't know when it will be paid back.
You-
Money for the loan, money. When we were told all along
Yeah, not clear.
that we would have a choice, pay directly or pick your guy, turn it in and you'll be. That's my fear.
So what qualifies somebody to just have it paid directly to the contractor?
He said 43% of the debt ratio. Is that not correct?
It is.
Yeah.
How many of us I don't think, it's very hard for us older people that are living on this income to try to think about, my God, I'm gonna have to go get a loan, and for how long, and their early payment, repayment. And honestly, I just feel so run over by a truck that I don't know what to do. And you try to do what's right and try to be an example, and now all these things are changing. Now it's not, we never expected it to be October before we got that.
Well, we didn't either.
I
Right.
totally understand that, but now I'm being told I have till March the 6th, did you say, sir, to complete my work whenever my inspection is done?
That's my recommendation, yeah.
That is the recommendation. So I have from today, which is the 12th of November, until March the 6th, to complete my work. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's
So-
a problem.
So what is your, I'm sorry, so what is your question exactly? As
My question exactly is, how, I want someone to tell me how long it's going to take to pay me back, so I can pay for the loan that I wasn't supposed to have to take out at the beginning. Because we were told it was gonna be a direct pay of the contract.
So how long is,
That's my question.
how long is the turnaround typically that when somebody submits their bills, when the work is done?
I mean, after it's reviewed by Matt, it's within a week.
That would be wonderful. Then again, who's going to pay for the application fee, the loan, and the interest, and the prepayment?
I don't know.
Wait, so
I don't have an
I'm-
answer to that.
I'm kind of confused. So if someone gets the work done, they get an invoice, they're going to pay when the work's done, right? I mean, that's my assumption. Maybe that's not right. So would they have to pay and then submit to the city and then get money?
Not sure.
Well, so in that, I can understand,
That's what they just said.
right, so if it is a week, so they could potentially have a loan for a week? If they had to use a loan? Is
Or
that how?
Application.
Yeah, and then you would definitely need to make sure you're getting a loan that doesn't have a early payment fee. Yeah, which, well, there shouldn't be much in a
Can
week, but.
I'm so, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Can I
No,
ask
you're
some sort of questions about the finance thing to begin with? Knowing that it was presented as the two different pathways before, the amount that somebody, or I guess the bracket that they're in, the grant amount or loan amount that they would be eligible for is determined before we even get to the contractor part, right?
Correct.
So whether their DTI is 43% or 0% or 100%, they're all going to get the same amount covered for their repairs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So knowing that the DTI, paperwork, we're having residents go and dig up all this stuff, prove it to you, hand it to staff for them to try to figure it out and justify it. It seems like a lot of extra work for two sets of people who are going to get the same amount of money anyway. So I'm guessing why we would sort of qualify that financially when, one way or another, it's the same amount of money. We're not rejecting people based on their debt to income. What's the qualification? Why is that going to help the city?
Helps from a staffing standpoint. We have obviously very limited staff, and if we have to enter into contracts with every contractor for every house, we won't be able to complete the project.
See, I think that's where some people might be getting a little confused, because the way it was kind of presented before was that the resident would still be in charge of their contractor once the quotes were done, but they needed to have their contractor sign that conditional waiver of lien, or that conditional lien waiver.
Yes.
So that making sure that they won't put any sort of mechanical lien on the house based on the amount that the city will pay in case that there's things outside of that the resident wants done, or things outside of the original cost. They know that they would sign that paper as a contractor, so it would be the residents sort of back to make sure that their contractor agreed instead of the city. Isn't that what we talked about before?
Exactly.
We had a question in the back room there by John.
Yeah, all the way in the back. Well, this might piggyback on that. Okay, thank you. Dave, did you have something relative to this, or something? Okay.
So, in, for, I, my requirement, so on and so forth.
Right. That, instead of making sweeping changes to the existing rule that a large percentage is going to go by, that would probably be an appeal board call, because you can't make sweeping decisions that affect 80% of the population based on how it affects a few people. So,
I think Matt has an answer
yeah.
for that, though.
And did you have an answer, Matt? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
I did not.
Well, getting everyone to sign up for an inspection in the next month and a half, no matter if you plan to, if you plan to sell your house or not, regardless, sign up for the inspection. Because I had a question, and we've talked about this a couple times, about if someone had signed a commitment form and you have it in like number 13 for the FAQ sheet, about if someone, say the previous homeowner signed the commitment form because a resident had asked this question, would it then they were worried about, okay, they sold the house, they're 2 years later living someplace else, they're going to be required to make, the fixes. And it's like, well, obviously not, you don't own the house anymore. But what I was kind of wondering after that is, and it kind of goes along with what Dave was saying, I feel like everyone should sign up for their inspection in the next month and a half. So we don't have that problem, because that could help, right? And get the commitment form signed, but that is if. So I was wondering if the commitment form is signed, we talked about it can't go with the previous owner. But could you, within negotiations, when you're selling a house, could the current homeowner negotiate and have the person buying essentially sign over their commitment form? So the person buying is like, yep, I totally agree with them signing the commitment form. I'm going to sign it as well, kind of piggyback on them. And then getting into the 2025 window of signing the commitment form.
That would be.
Like, is that something?
that would
It sounds
be
like an
something that
appeals board.
Council would have to decide on. Currently, the way that the Q&A addresses the subject is that if the seller had arranged for an inspection date, house sold, the inspection date would be held for the new owner.
Right.
The new owner would have 1 year from either the date of the inspection or the date of the transfer to them, whichever's shorter, right? Whichever's longer, in order to have the work completed. That's how the Q&A handles it currently.
But the grant is all based upon when the commitment form's signed.
And so the commitment form does drive, so someone who bought a house in 2026 would be eligible for an 80%.
Right. So, but I guess my question is, if the previous owner signed the commitment form in 2025, which essentially gives them the 100% if they qualify, could they do a sign over in negotiations when selling, so that the new owner can essentially just take over that 2025 commitment and still qualify for that same year? Is kind of what I was wondering. Because the whole point was, when we made that kind of step down rule along with CMAQ, when we talked about this, was to get people to sign up to inspect right away and to get everyone signed up. So that was my understanding, was the whole point. Now, I mean, this may get into a tricky situation financially, like if everyone signed up for the 100%, but the whole goal was to get people to sign up and to make the commitment so we could get all the work done.
But although the grant is really generous in year one, not everybody would qualify for the 100% grant because it is based on income.
Right, yes. So they would, whatever they would normally qualify in the 2025 year, essentially if they could sign over that same amount, which then leads to, if the person who bought the house has a different income and then qualifies differently, it's a whole new, yeah.
So this has been kind of a fluid thing, right? I mean, we look at this, it hasn't changed drastically since the beginning. There's been some tweaks, and there probably could be a little bit more as we move forward. But the consent decree was just signed. I mean, regardless of what the language said 6 months ago, this is what we want to try to accomplish. We feel this is the easiest way and most, based on what our staff has to give to it and the financing part of it. I don't think anybody's been harmed at this point. I mean, it's just like, okay, maybe there's been a few different avenues that I have to take now, but because the consent decree's been signed, a lot of people have waited until that was signed, and now they want to make their move. But I mean, you come up with a program and you try to implement it the best way you can. And it hasn't changed drastically since the beginning. It's pretty much the same.
Can we hear from a few more citizens?
Yeah. Back, yeah, up front here, yeah.
Hi. Everybody that has an inspection or has had an inspection, that commitment form has to be signed by December 31st, correct?
Yes, yes.
And that, it has to be signed.
To qualify for the 2025 year grant loan ratio program amounts funding, it would have to be that. But if
Hopefully.
you,
A 50% of that is allowing us to proceed with our lateral work. It's in that.
that's why the whole
Right.
goal was to get them to sign up early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we get everyone signed up for inspections and everyone signs a commitment form by the end of the year. That'd be amazing.
Isaiah?
Yeah, when did you guys change the lining of laterals and like single fellies? Kirkpatrick Birch for months of last year, or earlier this year, the scope of that work was always gonna be done externally, was always gonna be taken care of no matter what. That's what he always professed over and over. Now that's saying that the bellies around the resident is big costs that wouldn't be covered. So that's all laterals. I mean, that's just part of what was always said since last.
Was that the city would have to go and inspect the laterals. They would make any repairs or fix anything that would prevent the lining, which would be
That
a
would prevent
really-
the lining.
Other than
Yes.
intrusion costs.
Yes, but that was also part of the initial talks of the agreement, saying any belly would be, they would dig it out, fix it, and so that they can line through it. That wasn't always was said.
Well, if you fix the whole line, you wouldn't have to line it.
No, you only fix sections of the belly, all you do is dig down, usually only a section, or whatever. Then they can be aligned. I don't know at what point was it, thinking back that, homeowner, Carl says, kind of news to her and also most of us.
To me,
And that
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that.
now a thing that kind of resonates instead of.
No.
Yeah.
Patrick Birch, both times, things that were quote unquote broken by not, something stupid did, question. Notch cars down the toilet. He said that if it broke, the city would fix it, it would not be on our dime. Now you're telling us
for the duration of this program.
Yes, for this
In
program.
anticipation of knowing that they would have to reline the laterals, because even clay laterals in good condition are going to be relined, right?
Right.
Right, so I do remember those conversations where it was discussed that the city would go, that block by block. So with neighborhood 1, we know needs to have its lining. The city's got to go inspect to figure out which laterals are clay, which are PVC, and which clay laterals need repairs. And they said that in order to line it, they have to be repaired, and that would be a part of that program, with the exception of not covering tree roots and that sort of thing. So I think, I can't say for certain, but is that the question is that, previously, the understanding was that the city would prepare the lateral for the lining, and then
That,
the company would do it.
I don't, that hasn't changed in my
Okay.
opinion. So, except that roots are covered, thank you. Roots are covered because we can't
Can't line
it
through 'em.
with the roots in there. If it's broken, if there's a problem with it that, again, that prevents it from being lined, it would be repaired. But a belly in a line doesn't prevent it from being lined and isn't a cause of infiltration in and of itself.
During those videos of the early inspections that we got to see, there was bellies and lines and Patrick would show us that that's gonna be fixed. That's gonna be fixed. Actually, the tree root part was actually not supposed to be done because he was on the homeowner and that's someone else's tree. That was supposed to be, the homeowner's responsibility to get it cleaned out and then.
Before lining.
So now what you're saying is the opposite. I mean, cheaper to clear out a tree root than it is to
Repair a belly.
work for a resident.
Can I,
Well, are you saying a belly though, or is an offset and a belly the same thing?
No.
Sunken.
So, because I remember that video you're talking about, I thought it was an offset. So literally like the junction points, like things were like off like that.
Belly basically is a mini.
A dip.
And all it is
Yeah, that's what I've,
a low area.
right.
So you obviously, if you set it builds up, then you go from a 6-inch pipe down to a 2. Because everything is settled there, depending on how, what's the flux. But that, like I said, that was all, you're saying now is switched. So that is substantially more on a resident than it is, now than it was previously.
How would we know there's a belly there?
the camera?
Camera.
We're not shooting cameras down through every lateral. I mean, well, other than lining it, no, oh, that's right, oh, from the house out. Oh, I see, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
Back of the room,
I'm thinking
please.
of the main lines, but yeah, I know, I got you.
Back of the room, go ahead. Yep, to the right, the lady next to John. The program does, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Dave?
I'll pick somebody. Huh?
I'm sorry?
My concern was not me.
Okay.
I am, if who does not know, I may be a real. Okay.
Boo.
So, April, I have someone who wants to buy a lawn.
Okay,
Oh, never signed up
okay.
this up. So I have to tell my buyer, by the way, it is not guaranteed to have, get 1/3 of the import problems because
Correct.
I have to tell my buyer, they can be responsible of $14,000. So, what I am suggesting is, for somebody purchases a property per year, or they have the opportunity at 1 year where they sign up to get coverage. You can't just say, well, it's not guaranteed. And I'm gonna, there's no, get that benefit.
Well, and that will hold up a sale. Getting to an appeals board to then, well, hold it up if you got to wait to get to an appeals board and then get them an answer, you know.
Well,
The real estate moves too fast. So again, it's like,
Should be on
you
the seller
can't
then,
say,
right?
nor the hammer in my hand, I'm not gonna use it. Because there's nothing saying that,
is the seller not negligent at that point, and it should be on them to fix it? Because they were supposed to fix it and they didn't, and now you're asking to transfer that to a buyer and give them a whole new, reset the clock, when the seller actually was negligent? I'm just asking, I mean,
Yeah, but you'll have residents that are selling houses that are set up, that would be signed up for an inspection, wouldn't be till 27. So if they're saying, oh, we're actually gonna sell this. That kind of would.
well, then that would, yeah.
That'd be,
Yeah.
It's the person that never signed up.
Right.
It-
Yeah.
It's not, it's still not fine. So
No.
just because the inspection occurred right now, today, if you bought a house in 2027, you would have the 2027 rate, even if you had an inspection 3 days later because the seller had signed up for one. It's when you sign the commitment form. If there's, needs to be a change to that, don't be confused. It should be a change to everyone that purchases.
Okay. I would just like to comment on the fluid question. The fluid question isn't that we're rewriting the program. That's not what it is. It's the discussions that we're having today where it might need to be tweaked and little things changed. That's the fluid part of it. It's not like we're just sweeping this into a whole new avenue. It's like, yeah, maybe we do need to add an appeals board. Maybe we do need to extend the time. That's what I meant. It's not that everything's just going to get scorched earth and we're just going to start over.
In the program. But I want to bring up a concern because in conversation, we're talking about finances, and I want to ask our finance director, because one of the concerns is, this is something we've been talking about for a very long time, are we going to have enough money? So, I mean, that's part of the reason for, offering 100% or whatever for a certain amount of time. The unknown repairs are going to be made. When's the money going to run out? Another reason why reducing sewer fees right now is not, I mean, that is a huge risk in trying to help anyone pay for their stuff, because that's what's paying for it, especially people's personal homes. The money that we, what are all the words? We like applied for, got granted, whatever, that can't be used in people's homes. So there's certain things that money can't be used for. It can only be used for like laterals. So then it literally leaves only our rates and fees to pay for in-home fixes. But I mean, we still are hoping and don't know for sure and won't know until we start getting things started. I mean, Jennifer has said this a million times. We have no idea how much this is going to cost. We can guesstimate. But until we get a few years under our belt and see, I mean, we have no idea whether we're going to have enough money. And that's with the sewer rates that everyone's very angry about.
So Stantec estimated 20 million for the internal, let's say internal repairs. And there is, at this point, there is no funding for that. So those are being paid for through the user fees. We hope that in the future, we could possibly restructure the program, not eliminate what's already covered, but restructure it to make it eligible for a certain type of funding. But that is still not a certainty. So right now, that $20 million estimate that our engineers provided is fully funded, cash as you go, user fees. So somebody said, you know, when we were having the belly conversation about it's not paid on our dime. No, but it's paid on a collective dime. It's paid by everyone's dime at this point. So I just want to point that out.
Obviously, it's not an ideal, perfect system. There's money available. If it was my house and I had money available, I would do everything I could do to try to go after that. It's available. And we can't, there has to be some hoops to jump through to get it, but it's available. It's pretty generous. It's there. I mean, so the language is there, the forms are there, it's there. I mean, so all I'm saying is,
We don't
use
know
it.
how long
Use
it'll be
it.
there.
Use it, yeah, just, I mean, if you can use it, use it. Yeah, in the back, yeah.
So are you basing this amount that we have for fixed on every single house having a shop? I know my house is a thing.
So the $20 million comes from a estimated average of $5,000 in repairs per home for 4,000 homes, so that's $20 million. With you not having a problem at all means that if these folks have $14,000 worth of repairs, we had the money to cover that.
Right.
So that's where the number comes from.
But there could potentially be a lot more homes once the inspection really start going that every home could possibly.
It's possible, yeah. We actually hope that we will be able to cover every home.
But Mommy's not known for its new homes,
But-
really.
But there are, excuse me, there are a lot of homes.
I'm in a section that is
Right.
the 90s.
But there's not a lot of those. I mean, there's a lot of homes like north of the trail, east of, Key.
I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
But when the maps came out early on, it shows my whole area being in the red.
It's because of all around it, flowing through.
You also,
understand that.
you also have a lot of slab homes that only have clay tile lines that run from the house out, and they don't have any issue whatsoever. And there's quite a few of those too. So it's not every home. It's not, it's not going to be every home. They're depending on the design, and what they have, no basements. All that matters.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I believe on that, Stantec didn't just say, well, we think there's this many houses and it'll cost this much. It's a pretty complicated formula and set of statistical analysis that they use. It's not people up here going, all right, 20 million sounds good. It's,
Yeah.
it is, if you read through it, and it is 900 pages long. I've read through it. I don't understand most of it, I'll be honest, but I did look through how they sort of made those estimates, including some of the things you can see, the smoke testing. I do think that it is scary for everyone. We're all scared. This is a really tough situation.
City included.
Yes. But going back to, I'm so sorry we moved on from some of that stuff. Any changes being made to this program, that's why we're sitting up here talking about it and discussing it with you instead of sitting somewhere else. So that's why. And so some of it sounds scary because a lot of times these conversations are hashed out where you don't see them. But we want to make sure that you know and understand how some of these decisions are being made. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, and none of them were taken lightly. I mean, it's a lot of us being very scared. I mean, you guys saw it with the original ordinance, right? That everyone was mad about. I mean, there's a lot of fear to go along with that. We have to get this started. Things have to start getting fixed. How are we going to do it?
To go along with that, though, I'd like to go back to just two questions. Going back to the belly conversation, I know, because that has been bandied around and talked about, and it was said to be one thing, and now it seems like it's the other. Matt, can I just ask you if this is what you mean, and then tell me absolutely not if I'm wrong, which could very well be the case. If there is, a belly doesn't prevent the lateral from working. It doesn't even necessarily mean that there's inflow or infiltration, but it also doesn't mean your pipe is broken. So to reline it, you can reline it. There's no need to repair, because while it might not be an ideal situation, it is not broken, it is not allowing things in, it is not preventing the sewage from leaving the house. You won't preemptively put it back to what would be like a brand-new installed sewer lateral.
That's correct.
Okay, as opposed to if it were a bad enough dip that it did prevent or you couldn't reline it, will that then be a part of the preparing process for lining?
Then it would, yeah.
Okay, so does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
So they're not going to give everybody brand-new 100% straight, perfect laterals that are going to last. They're going to get it to the point where it can be lined through. If there is something that may eventually happen to it, in 10 or 20 years, if it keeps dipping down and backs up, then that at that point would be the homeowner's responsibility.
So the offset is the same as like a cesspool. It qualifies for a correction by the city?
Yes, an offset would.
If you can't
At that
line
point,
through it. If
you're
you
done
can't
then.
line through it.
Can't line through it,
Right.
yes.
Yes.
The liner can take care of minor offsets but not major ones.
Is that something we should maybe add to the FAQs? That the bellies, offset, cesspools kind of thing?
Sure.
Sure.
Please, yeah.
Why not? We had a question on the left, she had her hand up for a while.
I actually have two very,
Ooh.
going back to the offset, it seems to me that
That got changed in ordinance 050-2022, where the responsibility for the right-of-way, which is what you're talking about, was switched from the city to the homeowner responsibility.
At the right-of-way?
From the main
From the main to the house.
Yes.
all the way to the house, instead of previously it was from the main
Yes.
to the right-of-way was previously city responsibility.
There's still a right-of-way. It just doesn't apply to this. Yeah. Well, I just want to clarify. I'm sorry. It didn't go away.
second question also.
Well, they wouldn't have the grant program, they wouldn't be,
Well, they don't qualify for it.
Yeah.
oh, gotcha.
They wouldn't get lined either, right? If they don't sign anything.
No.
Well, yeah, but I mean, council's going to have to make that determination when we run into those kind of issues, which I'm sure that we will. There's going to be a certain percentage of people who are not interested in being involved in the program. And
Well, the problem's going to be that we're going to be building tanks before then if we don't get enough fixed done. It'll be a
It is
Oh, it's going to be
problem.
a much bigger problem than just for the city.
Well, so I have a,
Yeah.
but you
One
said
second, let me just,
it's all a nuisance, though, so they can line the lateral. We don't need their permission essentially in the uptown.
We'd
because
have
we've
to vote
declared them
on
all a
that.
nuisance.
We'd have to
Already.
vote on it.
We would go through the nuisance process and assess those people.
Yeah. Not,
I don't have the answer to that. I did want to clarify that in that first year, that 2025 year, if you have, even when you're at the highest income level above everyone else, you still are eligible for, do you have it sitting right there? I don't want to say the wrong thing, because I believe there's still, even in 2025, if you're making over, it's 0% interest loan, and I believe there's a portion of the grant that they get too. Yeah, that, it's right up there. That would be that they would have to schedule an inspection and sign the commitment letter before the end of this year. That goes away pretty quick for those highest income earners, but I don't want to say it, but I am pretty sure it is. Yeah, even the highest, 100,
98.
250% above the average median income, which is $198,000. Above that, essentially sky's the limit. They're still, in that first year, of eligible for an 80% grant and a 20% zero interest loan. So they'll get it if they sign up. Now, if that's 2028, which is when I think that goes away completely, and then that's a different situation, which is why we want them to sign up earlier.
Sherry?
I just want to get it, it's flat. So what do I need to do to get so that?
Schedule an inspection.
You have the city do an inspection, sign the commitment letter, that'll allow the city to line your lateral up to your door.
if Sherry had the inspection and can provide the video, can she just sign the commitment form?
No.
No? Okay. There you go.
Get the inspection so they see it, so they get a picture of you. Well, well, you don't have to until you get the results. See what you got, and then,
Well, you got signed by the end of the year.
yeah. Oh, then sign it by the end of the year. That allows the city to
Do the lateral.
do the laterals up to your door. That's half that letter. I mean, that's allowing us on the property to do it. You probably don't have an issue if it's a slab. All you have is one line going from the house out. Yeah.
Sherry, trust issues? I don't know about that.
Yes, sir.
Can you go back to the issue
Yeah.
regarding the transferability, financial sales program? I know that Margo was talking about have the purchase of the homes for sale. Also
Sign over.
I don't know what would be the buyer's potential incentive. Somebody goes to
Stand up, Dave.
I mean, it really falls back on the seller because they just didn't do anything about it. And now they're just trying to sell the house and they didn't do anything about it. So, go ahead, Dave.
Right.
The seller.
That's the biggest thing I'm trying to get.
Okay, I think we hear you. Yeah.
And Josh Harris brought this up the other day when we were talking, like, what can you do? Because I was like, well, can we talk to the title company and try to figure something out, whatever's decided, to make sure they're letting people know that this has to be done, or if we would adjust, like, the commitment form could be, or, you know, talking to Northwest Ohio Realtors and them giving education sessions to the realtors about, you know, this, you need to make sure your sellers are doing this, the buyers are doing this, and then whatever's decided, get those groups to push it out to all the realtors and all the title companies to make sure.
But to interrupt, sorry, but to interrupt, once it hits the title company, it's kind of late. I mean, you're there, you're going to the place to sign the forms, and you see this glaring thing in front of you.
Yeah.
I know some realtors are not disclosing the sewer issue. They're telling people it's okay. I mean, I heard this, people who are buying houses are coming into the neighborhoods, and I said, did they mention the sewer issue? They said, what sewer issue? I said, oh boy, you better talk to them. So, great point, Dave. Isaiah?
Yeah,
Isaiah?
I guess you could just piggyback off and just do the extension until March 6th, April 6th, and that would be, give a little bit of leeway. Otherwise, you're gonna delay the program even more for due diligence or not for the homeowner. You're on delaying. But if you give it a small extension for new homeowners, buyers, for first order lease, that would be a handout. You know, you're at least giving them that a little bit, but to integrate it all with the title and everything, you're just, city's doing way too much. Now they're becoming a realtor. You gotta separate that part. Just, I mean, a small extension would be appropriate, maybe.
Well, it's making sure all those people in the real estate field realize what's happening. So, like, communicating with the title people, communicating with the realtor. I get that's late, but just making sure everyone in that field knows what's going on. Because I would have realtors tell me, well, we're trying to sell. The buyer's worried about they have to have this inspection done and fixed before they sell the house. And it's like, no, that went away. You still need, this is a fix that's going to need to happen if you haven't gotten it inspected and you haven't gotten it fixed, but it's not going to stop the sale of your house. And realtors didn't know enough to tell the people that, which is concerning.
Just, I do think that trying to amend or add on to or do a lot of things to this program on its own will only continue to have us talk more and more about the things we could and should do. I am not opposed and I actually kind of really like the idea almost as a first-time or mommy home buyer, separate program to be, talked about. I know it is right now because we're coming up on that deadline, but it's going to be the same thing happening when we get to the end of 2026 and somebody wants to buy a house in 2027. Are we going to make all of these new changes and rules to try to get them the 2026 program? At some point, we do have to say, this is the program and this is what it is. Because if we don't come to some sort of conclusion here fairly quickly, there are a lot of people who are not buying houses, who are current residents, that will be behind the 8 ball. I do think it is good to address new buying, people buying, especially this upcoming quarter with everybody potentially missing out. But for the purposes of the program itself, I think we need to just make sure that we get some sort of agreement and then maybe have a separate program, because there might be people who buy, because even in 27 and 28 and going forward for the rest of, Maumee being a city, having a program where they could get their house inspected for free by the city of Maumee is very exciting for people who haven't been here for the past few years. So I like that idea going forward in general, but I think that's, if that might be a separate discussion than for current residents.
Yeah, I agree with that, Chelsea, and we could look at different things and make the time slot way narrower. Like, you bought a new house, I'm just using an arbitrary number, there's a 30-day window, sign up, because this is something we can't delay with. And you said, what's the problem if people don't want it done? They're called tanks, and it's real expensive, because now we're going to collect all the sewage that we have been pumping into the river, that we're going to capture it at $4 a gallon, and then we're going to pay the county to process it. And most of it's not just strictly sanitary, it's a lot of groundwater. So the program's got to go forward quick. It's true.
Yeah,
It's not all sewage.
No,
A lot of it is clean water that doesn't belong there.
And that's the problem with all the old pipes in the ground and the
Yeah.
leaky infiltration.
I would agree with what Chelsea said and what Council President Barrow. If we think about how many people living in Maumee today are going to be living here in 5 years, it's probably a pretty big number. I don't think we turn over the houses that fast. Now, I would have to defer to realtors on that, but I think that's the much bigger number. And what I've been hearing us discuss is 2 aspects of this. It's trying to address all the people who are going to still be here residents in 5 years and what to do. And we've been talking about what about people who sell their house and, for newcomers. And so I think it's probably appropriate to think about that as some separate, how do we deal with that? Keeping in mind that I was debating whether to say this or not, but a seller, let's say, who's maybe a little negligent and just keeps putting it off and doesn't want to do it, they can still sell their house, take a discount, for not doing maybe what you had a chance to do. So, but I think two separate avenues are probably appropriate.
Thank you.
But it does still bring up the question I had earlier about, well, what if they did sign up? They did sign the commitment form. Like, I feel like we should allow that to be transferred to the buyer if the seller was not negligent. They tried their very best.
That
but
would be
couldn't
a separate program.
Yeah, it would
perhaps,
be this
if
separate
they haven't figured
program.
out how to handle those.
And we talked about that the other day somewhere, if we could get it out there, as many people as possible now till the end of the year, if you could get signed up for your inspection, your commitment form signed, and then say in a couple years and you haven't had your inspection done yet, you sell the house, because, things happen. Things come up. You don't know you're going to sell your house in a couple years, maybe, but you end up selling it. You've done your due diligence. You've tried everything you could to make sure you're doing the best that you can. If that could be negotiated and signed over to the new buyer in the home selling buying process, I feel like that would be ideal, and you're not punishing anyone that was trying to do their best to do all the things right. And once again, the number's going to be low.
Alan, it's early stages, just questions, but would that work with a new purchaser coming in saying, well, I didn't sign that form, this is my house. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's a-
mean, we'd have to look at a lot of different parameters. Is it a legitimate sale? Is it, a lot of different issues we'd have to look at and try to analyze how we're going to do that.
Yeah, because if I moved into a new house and I see something that the previous owner signed off on, I'm thinking, whoa, what's this?
Yeah, I didn't
No,
commit to making
that's what I was saying would happen at closing. Like the title company, like if someone already has their commitment form signed, I don't know, maybe I'm just talking, but like at closing, if they already have the commitment form signed, it would be in the list of papers like, oh, you can sign it over to your name. And they should already be well aware of it during negotiations. And then when it comes down to signing the 1,000 forms that get put in front of you,
I've
they
been to
can
a few-
sign it, essentially like
No,
you
I
signed a
understand
check
what-
over to someone and that person signs it to then cash it.
I've been to a few closed and there's been surprises like, really?
Schrodinger sewer repair.
But anyways, I'm just looking at the legal aspects of it. I mean, I like the idea, it's a great idea, but again, somebody comes in, it's their castle, their home.
Well, yeah, if that was not talked about during the negotiation and suddenly they're at the closing table, that's a problem, obviously. But
Just throwing it out there.
So to kind of,
I just had one more
Yeah.
thing. We talked about the kind of an information campaign. We've been saying we want firm up this, the parameters of the program that we've been talking about, get people to sign up ASAP. So for that communication program, I don't want to rely on, like what our church and several others do sometimes, send out an everyone email. We've got people in this audience who know a whole lot of people who have knocked on doors before. As part of this information program, whether it's council members and community members, to be able to knock on doors and get people to make sure they're aware, to sign up, to answer their questions. I think we all know a whole lot more. I think that's what we're going to need, and not rely on just, okay, something was sent out in the bills, or, oh, we put it on the website. So I just want to get that out, because I think communication-wise, direct touching is going to really make the most impact, I think, for people. Because it's kind of surprising how many people still aren't plugged in, they don't know what's going on.
well, and
They don't come to the meetings.
you know, Phil, by knocking on doors, a lot of people do not come to their doors. So it's also a matter of, we talked about like the sticky notes. You go to the door, you knock on
Yeah.
the door, you have a literature that you can leave behind. You use those sticky
Okay,
notes. I
yeah.
think they're amazing.
Yeah.
Like you put something that, it's a multifaceted marketing approach, right? So it's
Yes.
the website, it's an email, it's a text message. Maybe we use Code Red for that. I don't know what all Code Red's even allowed to be used for. It's put a sticky note on the door. It's put it in the city newsletter.
As long as it's multiple in that way, yeah. I just don't want kind of what's
Everyone gets their
traditionally been.
commitment form signed on the marquee at the indoor. I don't know.
In the back, get a hand up.
As far as the lateral, what happens, I'm gonna get my sump put in, within a month. When are the laterals, and what if I start out, I think my sump is done before the laterals are in?
So that really shouldn't be an issue at all. The new homeowner would have to sign the commitment form in order to allow us on the property to do the work.
yep. Yes, ma'am.
And on my report, it did check that I need to, they didn't check the box, or they didn't. Oh, they said that, my files are unknown. Now when my,
Call me,
okay.
yeah. Please.
Chelsea?
I did, I'm sorry, I did want to really quickly circle back to the conversation that we were having about the two different pathways, the reimbursement being versus the pay-through method. That seems to be a pretty big concern with a lot of people. Can we have an explanation on how that got switched from the homeowner still managing the project, but going forward with the conditional lien waiver versus the city being in charge of the project and the homeowner needing to show their DTI?
Well, I don't know that I have an answer to how got switched. I don't know how a conditional waiver of lien even works. If
Oh, a conditional waiver of lien?
conditional,
Yeah,
Yeah, as a conditional lien waiver, that's what was originally
I don't recall.
presented.
Oh, okay. I think I would have to yield to the finance director on that. I think that sounds like a nightmare.
No, that was the conversation that we had internally.
Oh, okay,
We were not sure.
okay.
I feel like there was a miscommunication. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
We were looking at some of these same type of guidelines with some of our senior projects, and I don't know if you're aware, but us as a guideline for people that meet a certain percentage of the poverty level, and that took away all this stuff and all of the people that needed to look at it, as far as talking about paying the contractor directly. Would that be something that would take away extra steps and causing more staff to be involved if we could use those national guidelines instead of 40%? It worked for us. And it targeted the same group.
Yeah.
We have had so many phone calls from the Q-tips in Maumee.
I was like, what is, yeah, oh,
One of them.
What's the cute?
white-haired,
White-haired people.
it took me a minute too.
Got it.
Okay.
These people are panicked because they are afraid they're going to lose their home. And they don't have any idea of how to set up a loan at the bank to bridge this gap that now exists instead of a direct payment to the contract. All we're asking is for help and fairness to follow your timeline. Help us do
I'm not so sure where it got changed. I'm going to have to just plead the fifth on that. I really don't know. I don't know.
I'm saying, help us, please.
Well, so I feel like in some cases, a lot of people get very fearful and then they don't do anything. So I feel like we need to reach out and have a conversation with someone at the city to see if there's any reason to be fearful. Sorry, Sherry, I just wanted to finish my thought.
I want to add on to that because I only click, that's it. And I get denied phones left and right because that's my life is so secure. So, you know what, thank God, I don't have, I was really upset that I didn't have one. Now I pathetic that I do.
Ah, gotcha.
I die in a tornado, but don't have to pay for my sewer.
Yeah, I know that's really frustrating to talk about, but I do have that original presentation and notes and discussions. That's why it wasn't something mentioned in passing. It was literally a public presentation here where that was discussed.
In roundtable.
And the roundtables, it was discussed. So,
We promise you, you can choose A or B.
and that basically the only reason somebody might go the reimbursement route is because they want to get it out of the way, or they're selling their house or something else. So I do remember being a part of those. I also understand that that was not clearly communicated as well, and this type of situation is a little bit concerning to me because I understand why internally we want to do this. I'm not saying you guys are doing something wrong. I understand why everybody all of a sudden goes, what do you mean we have to be qualified? Because that's not how it was. Yeah, they had examples of the conditional waiver of lien and how that would all work. So that's where that's why I'm asking why, when and where that got changed. And if it was just that it was miscommunicated, and it seems like something that we'd want to take a deeper look at, because I don't know that I'd make that.
How do you want to proceed on that issue?
I want you to go back to what.
I'm asking council.
Oh, I'm
Well,
I think, I do understand your position.
Yeah.
Thank you.
well, I mean,
You want, is that something you want to take to the Finance Committee? I know that's coming up pretty quick. Is that something you want to
Well,
discuss at that level?
We're going to need to do some research on this first.
Yeah, I think it
Because
would be good to
I
do
remember-
that.
What's that?
I would say, I kind of just want to do any of, am I
You're not the only one.
misremembering? Did
no,
nobody
I
remembers this?
remember the same. I just
Okay.
put a note saying, look for that chart with the different payment options, because
Yep.
I swear I remember seeing one.
Well,
But the thing is that the staff in this room right now having this conversation, we're not in those rooms having the conversations before. So there was a disconnect between the people doing the work and the people who are talking about what work would be done, I feel like. So, you could see how there could be a miscommunication. It's like the game of telephone.
Yeah, this is not a blame thing, like I said.
In writing, for God's sake.
Right, so we're going to look for that, is what I'm hearing.
I
say.
was wondering if it was a legal, decision that was found to not work. I was looking for some sort of, reason why it got changed, but if it's just a miscommunication.
Well, it could
I don't
sound-
want everybody coming and screaming at these guys who've been working on this for the last 2.5 months, because they weren't a part of that. So I do want to look into it. I still think we need to move forward with the program and some of the suggestions as is, but there are things that still need to be,
We can do the research.
do the research, some other things, look into some of the real estate stuff, in which case, I know we were
Right.
talking about potentially 2 motions, but perhaps a separate committee for a third motion that would create not the appeals board, but a council committee that would do some of this research on this program as conditions and situations change. That's just a suggestion, it's not a motion.
Could you amplify that, this third one that you're talking about?
Like we
Because,
have
I mean, clearly
finance.
financing the work is what I'm hearing is a big concern for a lot of people, that maybe are just keeping their head down because they just don't understand it. That needs to be understood, how we can deal with that. Because I think
Yeah.
it's a significant number.
Just a council committee that would keep an eye on these things as come through, maybe get reports from the hearings board when that eventually starts going through. But while the parameters of the program are pretty well set out, these are the questions that a lot of people have. It might be worth having somebody, a set of 3 council people whose
Yeah.
domain and authority is looking over and researching into that, consulting with staff and understanding, because I didn't even bother asking that question to staff because I just assumed that there would be a simple answer, and that's my bad. I should have asked. I really just figured it would be it was illegal, So I think it's important that we have some of the decision makers up here paying attention and getting reporting on this as it goes through, so we don't have to do 2-hour committee of the whole meetings when I throw a fit at a council meeting.
Well, and I feel like, so sometimes it can easily be said, oh, yeah, that seems to make sense. We could totally do this or that. But then when it comes to asking the people actually doing the work, you realize it's way too much time. I mean, it's not so simple. And
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Imagine how much time this will be so the city will essentially have to take over and be the project manager for every house that can't get reimbursed. The finance department's going to have to go through and verify everybody's income verification, argue about it's going to be a ton of work for giving everybody the same amount of money anyway.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
was my thought.
Okay, in the back?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
things aren't changing.
Things aren't changing, ma'am. No. No, because there's a part that the city needs to hear from you, so we know where to start with the relining and where to go.
And that's where I feel like the fear is setting in. Like, people are just assuming they're going to be the worst case scenario and not even going through the steps to see if that's the case. the best way to attack, I feel like the fear is start taking the steps and see what happens, because most of the time there's a conversation to be had or appeals board and it's going to be fine.
Ms. Jones?
My question is, and I know we've kind of talked a little bit about putting stuff out on the internet, putting things through doors. What about doing some type of, I know Catholic did a lot of round tables here, brought in groups of people to talk. I mean, a lot of people don't use email or the computer or things like that. And they feel more comfortable coming to an open forum to ask their questions and get their concerns. I know this is a bad time of year, Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, but maybe after the first of the year, start doing a little more meeting, get people together. Has that been done?
Well, the communication never stopped. Mr. Birch privately met with over 500 people in his office and answered questions nights, weekends, up until he retired. Over 500 people were interested and came in and sat with him one-on-one and had their concerns. And so that really never did stop. It slowed down since he retired, but, so I agree with you. It needs to continue. Yeah.
People are concerned.
Yeah.
Come up with a way to help.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
My question is, first, how do our drains, we get the work done over here, how does that affect when we're going to testing? Is something different that's separate crews or?
I'd have to, Matt, I don't know if you can answer that or not. It's a shared main line where two come into a,
Why?
So you're talking about just a shared lateral?
yeah.
So the laterals are going to be lined, and we'll use the nuisance ordinance where we have to in order to make sure that the lining occurs on both sides of the Y. As far as the internal work goes, I don't know how that looks. I know that for every person that we can get the work done, we have a better opportunity to reduce the amount of water that we have in the system.
I got it.
And going to do anything. I'm familiar with people like that.
Don't be that neighbor.
Great. I think ultimately, we're going to have to start to determine how many of those people that there are, and then what enforcement action
The date.
the city chooses to take to try and rectify those situations.
I'm figuring I get all mine done,
I remember seeing.
I think, if I can, to answer your question, like, your portion will be lined, and then the main line up to the Y will be lined, regardless of whether your neighbor would do it. But the goal would be to get all of them in the same stretch done at the same time.
So we'll work our way from basically the railroad tracks in Conant Street is the top of the line that runs straight down to the river. So we'll work our way down to the river, broadening after we cross the Anthony Wayne Trail, all the way to the Wayne Street extension, all the way to Key Street. That's what's considered by us as uptown flow. Once that's completed, we'll stay south of the trail, and we'll work from the Ohio Turnpike at River Road to the river, to the Anthony Wayne Trail, and come back toward Key Street. And that'll complete everything south of the trail that's feeding the Key Street pump station. From that point, we'll start at Michigan Avenue.
Sharon really just wanted to ask, when are you getting to her?
Keep going? Okay. So then I have Michigan Avenue from the railroad tracks to the south, coming back toward the Anthony Wayne Trail, feeding the Turnpike pumping station. From there, I have the Dussel Street pumping station, which will be those houses. It's a much smaller pumping station. It's pretty much west of Key Street over to about Eastfield and north to the Ohio Turnpike. And also, and also the area, the 5 streets that are on the north side of Monclova Road across from the former St. Luke's Hospital. After that, and whoever takes over my position, because I will no longer be here by then, well,
Just curious, what kind of timeline?
35?
yeah,
Yeah.
well, so really, we have we're probably looking at like 2035-ish in realistic terms. Yeah, for the lateral lining. Now, in the meantime, of course, the more homes that we can get, the more advanced that we make the program work and actually reduce the flows that we're sending to the county and actually reduce the flows that we can report back to EPA and hit our goal.
I'm gonna ask that we wrap this up. It's been a couple hours, and I'm just gonna kind of read you some conclusions that I'm hearing. Correct?
Can I say one thing?
Yeah,
quick?
yep.
I want to thank council, mayor, and everyone who did the time folks for opening this up, and I felt really good about how this evening went. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, appreciate it. So what I'm hearing under a motion situation is a blanket, a 6-month extension from inside the home from the date that the inspection report is received.
No, consent,
I'm sorry.
Agree.
I'm sorry.
from the consent decree.
Yeah, from the consent decree, my bad. A blanket 6-month extension from the consent decree, and a sewer remediation appeals board to be established. I would like that in a motion so we can add it to our, is that accurate or no?
Just to clarify, the consent decree was signed by Judge Navarro at one time, but it really did not become effective until probably 30 or more days.
That's true.
The date-
No,
The
no,
date it
that's
got
not
signed
true.
is effective, right.
He said the date it got signed was effective.
It was signed, okay.
Okay.
It was a 30-day comment period while it was
Yeah.
still at the courts that,
Before it got.
yeah, it was
Before
prior
it got
to the,
signed.
to the final signature
Yeah.
and being entered in.
Yes.
Does the 6-month extension apply just to people who've had their inspection prior?
Up to
To-
that date.
Okay, up to that date.
So if they come up in that year period, they don't have to worry about getting it done.
Yeah, okay.
So it would be a 6-month extension from the date the consent decree was signed for all those that had an inspection up to that date.
That would be
Correct?
the motion.
Yes. And the second one was a sewer remediation appeals board.
Correct. I'd make that
Somebody entertain a
motion.
motion for
I
that.
would make that motion that we undertake both of those, refer that to council.
Do we need to give more details about the sewer remediation appeals board? Like, we want it to be 3 residents? We want it to handle appeals, but then also kind of give overall input on things that come up?
Maybe we can expand that at that.
Yeah, I think we'd need to see
Discussion.
a draft of it. The only other thing was the referring the finance situation to the finance
Yeah,
committee.
we'll get there. Yep. I think so. Yep.
I will second that motion.
Any other discussion on that? Yes, Mr. Lambach.
I still got that not clear. So if somebody had their inspection, signed up for their inspection,
Let's say a year ago.
September.
Oh, a
Well,
year
let's just
ago.
say September. Now, let's just say this recent September 1st. With the rules that we're talking about, they would have a year,
Right.
right, to get the work done. Is that right?
If they signed up, if they had their inspection September 25th of 2025,
Yep.
they would still have until September 25th, 2026.
Right, so the 6-month extension idea is for people really who've had it,
Who are coming up on the deadline.
yeah, who are coming up on the deadline. I don't know
That's
if we need to have a date in there in the ordinance that would clearly indicate, oh, you're getting an extra 6 months, but somebody else doesn't.
Okay, good question, okay. We call the roll on that?
Barrow,
Yes.
Fiskus,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Steinbach,
Yes.
Pufferberger,
Yes.
Zis.
Yes.
I'm going to ask the law director if he could come up with some sort of real estate transfer language that maybe, Dave, you could, I don't know if you want input on that. If you've got any ideas, send them on, just to see if there's anything that we can address that situation that you brought up about transferring homes and what all the different situations that could arise. Some general type of language. Maybe we can connect a couple of weeks and see if we can come up with that. The last thing is to refer the reimbursement avenue that we discussed for in-home remediation to the Finance Committee. I'd like the input of the Finance Director and just some discussion on that committee to see where that language was and where it needs to go. Okay? Can we include that on the agenda the next time? Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion. Or you want me to make the motion, or are you making the first
I will
motion?
entertain one.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
That was very entertaining.
Yeah.
So much so I'll second it.
We'll call the roll.
Barrow,
Yes.
Fiskus.
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Steinbach.
Yes.
Pufferberger.
I want that every iteration.
Pufferberger,
Yes. I'm so sorry.
Did you say me?
Zis.
Yes.
8:06. We are.